Alright, welcome back. This should be episode 5, I believe, of the European Truck Simulator 2 with the Italia DLC. And it's been a couple of days since I've recorded this. Actually, in the interim, I have managed to watch the new Star Wars video or movie, The Last Jedi, and it was awesome. I'll just say that right now. So, it looks like they've actually got the long distance stuff here as options now, or the special, what is it, the special cargo. I mean, I'm not up to where I can do that yet. And if I recall, last time we were looking through to see what could go, so we can buy a garage down in Sicily, there we go. Yeah, I can speak English. I have not been getting enough sleep lately. I'll stick with that as my excuse. Let's see if I recall, this is the one that we're going to take, so let me see, 11 hours to go. We'll go ahead and just grab that. And let's see, I need to rest first. That job may not be there after I rest. I don't know exactly how long the resting is in this. Apparently there's a rest stop just right over here along with the gas station, so I'll just go fill up and rest. Then we'll see if that job is still there. Wait for the gate. Of course, only 40 kilometers per hour for the speed limit. Apparently, Italy has a lot slower speed limits. Very bad one. Looks like I can rest on either side. Yeah, there's a spot. So let's get some gas first. Okay. Looks like it's only 8 hours for sleeping, so let's just make sure that this job is still active. But I think it will be. This one, yeah, it still have almost 2 hours. Okay, so let's drive out to it. I guess I need my turn signal there. Okay, so now we're on the road again. Like I said, I watched the newest Star Wars. I won't give any spoilers in here, but in my opinion, it actually did end up being better than even Empire, which is saying a bit for me because I really liked Empire Strikes Back. That was my favorite Star Wars up till this one, and I know a lot of people I've talked with have disagreed with me about that. I think a lot of people tend to forget how boring some aspects in Empire really were, and I'm not saying that to disparage the movie. All movies have to have breath points where an audience can take their breath, essentially. If it's just non-stop action, then it'll wear out the audience, and so you need scenes in it that are kind of more boring than others. And Empire had its fair share of those. Most of Hoth was that way, not counting the AT-AT battle, the whole battle for Hoth, I guess. Let's see out here. Let me get around this corner. Anyway, yeah, that most of what happened on Hoth was pretty boring when you really boil it down. Yeah, it was necessary for the plot to actually be really good. Same thing with the new movie. There's some criticism about certain scenes The chase scene being considered extremely slow and boring, as ships just barely stay out of range and things like that. But I think it was actually necessary for a lot of the plot twists to actually work, and I won't go into any of them, of course, just in case you haven't seen it yet, because I would highly recommend you go and see it. But to speak loosely about it, you need that, the little less important scenes, less important in terms of if you're looking at it from how impactful to the plot they are. You need those scenes that slow down a little bit so that you can catch your breath, so it's not just a non-stop action scene. And it made it where the plot twists in there, they actually did give me goosebumps. It was the first time in a long time I watched a movie where I was guessing at what the plot would be, and they went a completely different way than I was expecting, and it was just awesome. So I won't speak anymore on the movie, other than to just recommend that if you haven't seen it, and if you like Star Wars at all, go ahead and watch it. You will not be disappointed. So anyway, let's get back to the game now. So this current video is just going to be getting me down a little closer to Sicily. Depending on how long this trip takes, I might be able to sneak one more in and actually get to Sicily, and then buy the garage. If I get to that will be an awesome bonus. If I can only get down to that town, I think it was like Bari or something like that. If that's all I get to on this one, then that's fine too. Again, my time is unfortunately limited, so I wish I had far more. Looking at the map now, this looks like it's getting kind of a complicated exit, but okay, that's not too bad. Let's go ahead and get over there. And then we'll see how long this is going to take to get to the final destination on this trip. And once all that's done, that'd be nice to get my driving fleet started now. I believe with the 400,000 euros that I would get from the loan, I have the ability to get the garage at 180, and then probably 2 drivers, maybe 3. I haven't done the full math on it. I think probably only 2. It's going to be roughly 110 or so per driver, being both the driver and the truck. The one thing I'm not sure as well is I think it might stick me in back up in Luxembourg. We shall have to see. This is a complicated little pattern here. And of course, it looks like the toll booths are designed to nickel and dime you to death. Yeah, this is kind of convoluted. No sense getting my speed up too high because I'm just going to have to slow down for this corner anyway. Alright, here we go. I almost kind of wish you could just jump over that little median. Yeah, I do like how they've done this background though. We'll have another gate though. It's like all of Italy is behind these gates. This actually looks like the same model as where I got the previous trip, with that building in the background and all that. 24 minutes to spare. All right. it roll forward. That was annoying. Stop. My keyboard is being a bit sluggish on this. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, let's make sure that if it's got any question mark icons to unlock, we can do those, and it looks like it doesn't. It really looks, well, there's some down in Taranto, but it looks like Italy doesn't really have that much to unlock, probably because there's so much in the rest of the real world, the old world, I guess, of this game. So okay. Anyway, for now, let's get this on the road. It should be, yeah, this will be about another 30 minutes game of real time for this game. So I'll just have to see if there's anything that's a short little trip once we're done. If it's going to take too long, I don't want this to be like an hour-long video or anything like that. How much does this weigh? 20 pounds, okay. It was a bit more than I was thinking. That took a little bit longer to stop than I was expecting. 20 tons isn't too bad, but I've been hauling stuff like 9 and 10 tons, so I just have to make sure to apply the brake earlier than before. Always check the directions and those. I might at some point need to change around where the mirrors are and things like that. Just make it a little easier for me to see now that this is my own truck. Yeah. It's always fun stopping just a little short. Alright, and this looks like I actually turn here. Yes. Some of these are a bit confusing. They have so many roads next to each other. To make sure you're on the right one on the GPS. I ran into that going through France a lot as well. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. It's in the morning, which is nice, so I'll have more time to actually see the scenery and the light. So I'm not complaining about having to sleep earlier. It actually helped kick me out of the night. I don't mind night driving in this game, but I do prefer seeing more stuff in daylight, just because the scenery is so well done. I think SCS did a pretty good job with making their game look good. I definitely appreciate what they put in work-wise. There's a few bugs here and there, of course, but nothing game-breaking that I've run into. Certainly not on the level of something like a Bethesda game when it comes to bugs. I say that really liking Bethesda as well, I should point out. I mean, you can just look out at like that mountain and stuff like that. I mean, that just looks cool. And I do like the color palette that we've got here. I mentioned in one of the other videos, but you know, the colors look Mediterranean, so they really captured that. And they've designed this in such a way that I almost wish I could live here. I mean, that would be so much fun. Let's see on this. I don't think that this lane is actually going to forced me off. I can't really tell up there. Actually, it looks like I might need to turn over. Looked at the GPS and it said the arrows. So I've been complaining before that it doesn't give any real advanced warning, especially up around Germany when the lane's going to just cut off. But I've discovered, in this view, you can look at the GPS and follow the green arrows. So at least they've given us that. I still would prefer road signs, so I didn't have to have the GPS the whole time. The only other thing I could do, I suppose, is drive this enough that I memorize how the map works. And while I put 500 hours in, just don't think I'm going to be able to memorize the entirety. I guess that brings up a topic I can talk about really quick, which is I've been looking at different things on how you increase memory, so you can remember more stuff. I've been studying Spanish, for example, recently, and memorizing the vocabulary words and things like that. You need to start coming up with ways to help your brain remember stuff. And one of the things that they have talked about that seems to work for a lot of people is the concept of a memory palace, and that's where you take a location that you're used to. They recommend your own house, somewhere you've lived in for a while, but you can take anything you're familiar with, city streets, things like that, and at various locations in there you store the information you want to remember. The reason is because your spatial memory can store far more than things like verbal context and things like that. So yeah, your brain is designed in such a way that you need to keep track of where you are in space. And so it's a lot easier to store spatial coordinates and remember this location leads to that location, and if you go this direction, you'll end up at that place. And if you store that in your brain and just put little cues where you need, then it's easier to remember different things. So for example, you can remember an object by imagining it on your couch. You open the door and you look, and there, sitting on your couch, is the words you want to memorize. And you got the definition there too. And so if you associate things like that, then you'll get it. So what I was saying about memorizing this whole map earlier, obviously you don't necessarily need to memorize the entire thing, but it would actually be easier to memorize that because it's a spatial thing. You're memorizing locations. It's going to be easier than trying to learn a foreign language, for example. So just a little thing for you to keep in your own mind. Hopefully that'll be beneficial for you. I would recommend, if you want to try it out, there's several videos on YouTube describing how to make a memory palace. And of course it was mentioned in one of the BBC version of Sherlock Holmes with, I always call him Benedict Arnold, but Benedict Cumberbatch. There's not that many Benedicts out there. So he actually does a decent job playing Sherlock Holmes though. Although I really like, I think it's Martin Freeman in playing Watson. I've always liked him, just as an actor in general. But yeah, I mentioned Star Wars earlier. When it comes to nerd movies, think of Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. If I was going to be classifying myself in one of the nerd subcultures, my favorite of those would actually be Doctor Who. I really like David Tennant's version of Doctor Who the best, though. Matt Smith was okay. I really liked him, but Tennant was the best. I never really got into Peter Capaldi, though. And here in the U.S., that's as far as I've been able to see. I'll have to check when they're releasing, I believe, season 10 on Amazon Prime. So I haven't been able to watch that one. And of course, they're coming out with a new Doctor, having a female Doctor now. And yeah, I don't care like what the gender of the Doctor is. No, I was like, was I speeding there? That's the loan going through. Okay, that makes sense. I had me worried there for a second, but anyway, going back to Doctor, a lot of people are concerned that it's a female Doctor. Actually, I don't think there's all that many people who really care, to be honest. I think there's a handful who think the Doctor should always be a guy. there's always this thing about the doctor should be British as well, and not just British, but from a specific part of England, the London area, I suppose. Because I remember an interview with Tennant. David Tennant's actually Scottish, and he never got to do his Scottish accent except for a few minor places, because they didn't want the doctor to have a different accent. And then, of course, Peter Capaldi came along and did a whole bunch with his Scottish. So that kind of ruined that. But my own opinion on it, again, it's, and I don't care, male, female, it all works. The only thing is I wish that it was a little less obviously politically motivated. Because it was clear that this was all PC that was pushing it this time, the political correctness, rather than a natural outgrowth of the character of the Doctor. It was we have to check all the boxes, so have different times where they're like, we have gay characters, we have the black characters, all the minorities that you can think of from the English perspective. Those have all played a part at some point in Doctor Who. And so really it didn't come about as part of the story. It came about as part of the next step of what they needed to check off on their political correctness box. And so that's a little disappointing to me. That said, I'm pretty sure whoever plays the Doctor is probably going to do a decent job every single time. And so I have no doubt that the new lady, and I don't remember her name now, I did watch her in Broadchurch. So I know who she is, but I'm not that good with names. And I would say Broadchurch was also an awesome series. I'm looking forward to when season 3 comes out of that as well. In any case, long winding story coming to an end. Doctor Who is where I'm at when it comes to Nerdfest. If I was going to dress up at any convention, I would try to dress up as a Dalek. That would be my thing. Daleks are awesome. And my favorite thing actually is when they had it in German. On that episode when the Daleks were invading, and they were in Germany getting the button that could destroy the whole Earth and all that stuff. Anyway, not to go too much into that, but the German is kind of meant for Daleks. If you hear a Dalek speak in German, it's creepy. It's like exterminarian or something, if I remember right, instead of exterminate. But yeah, that's one of those things about the language of German. It just kind of sounds like a bad guy language when you hear it. It's almost like Hitler would have been inevitable because he spoke German. And I say that knowing there's a bit of exaggeration with the harshness of German. I actually know a couple of people who are native German speakers, and they're the nicest people in the world. So don't want to stereotype them, and they don't speak that harsh German that you always get from the movies and stuff. But that said, there is definitely something about that where when you hear German spoken in a particular like highly emphasized and enunciated way, it's just kind of creepy. You get visions of Hitler, I guess, having that association. Anyway, so I'm kind of rambling all over the place today, but that is the story of my life at the moment. It's finally the weekend. It's Saturday, and being able to unwind for a bit here. It's just nice. I got to sleep in a bit. Actually, this is how bad it was. I was so exhausted from this week. I actually went to bed at 9 last night. And I say that as somebody who goes to bed regularly about 11:30 to midnight. And I was so exhausted that I could hardly keep my eyes open. So 9 o'clock rolled around and I was just like, I'm just going to go to bed. See how much sleep I can catch up on. And I probably was asleep about 9:30ish at the latest. Actually being in bed, dropped off fairly quickly. And then didn't get up until about 8. Maybe 7, I don't remember now. But got well over 10 hours for sure. And it was nice. I've been battling a cold for a while. And added to the workload, I just kind of needed a chance to recharge, so that was nice. And today I don't really have anything overly pressing, so like, yeah, it's a good time to record my next video. It's nice just to be able to drive through Italy here, look at everything. Oh, I should mention, since I talked about watching Star Wars yesterday, it was actually during the workday. I work in IT, as I've mentioned before, and our entire IT department is basically a bunch of nerds. If you ever watch the IT Crowd, it's more of a documentary than a comedy, to really boil it down. But we got a lot of heavy Star Wars nerds in our group, and even the people who aren't outright nerds still like Star Wars. And so yeah, we actually did a group building day, I guess, call it, or afternoon at least. So we all left work about 11:15, 11:30, went down to the local cinema, watched the Star Wars, the Last Jedi, I think that's what it's called. The last or final, whatever. We watched it in 3D. And I actually wear glasses, which makes 3D a little difficult, because the way 3D is done now, if you don't wear the 3D glasses, it's blurry. And so wearing my normal glasses is blurry. If I take my glasses off and just wear the 3D, it's roughly equivalent blurriness. So I actually was able to finally get it where it would sit on my nose after my glasses. And so I had my glasses on and the 3D glasses, and it worked pretty well. So I like the way that we've got the 3D now in the movies, different than like the other experience I can compare to is like watching Captain EO at Disneyland, and the 3D back then where things were jumping out and they're like trying to stab you in the eye with sharp objects and stuff in the 3D. It was an over-the-top type of thing. Now it's very subtle. So you get the 3D, but it's not in your face. It's not overly hyped or any of that. So it actually does, they do a decent job with how they make 3D now. And now I guess I can also compare it to like the HTC Vive, using one of those headsets and having 3D in a game. It's actually, you get more of a sense of the depth in the game version in VR than you would even watching the movie. So it's just kind of more of a subtle effect. And I guess I would equate it more to kind of the difference between watching something in high def as opposed to regular. You can get the same story, everything looks good, watching regular TV, put it on high def, and it's got that sharper, clearer image and all that. Adding in the 3D at the theater, it just gives a little tweak to it, and it's perfectly passable without it. But with it, it's not necessarily something that I could immediately say, oh, this is better because of it, or this isn't. After a few minutes, you get used to it anyway, and you just kind of don't even notice it anymore. So anyway, we watched that in 3D. It was great. And the story again was great. So yeah, that's what we did at work. And like I said, it was a work day. So after we were done with the movie, we actually had to go back and work some more. Which made it a little bit difficult. And ironically enough, after going that whole day, basically goofing off in the afternoon, watching the movie and all that, when I got back to work, I had 90 minutes before I had to leave for the day. And ended up taking a phone call that lasted almost 50 minutes just by itself, just one call. So let's see, that's Tabari coming up. So anyway, the number of calls that I took looked really low. The amount of time I was on the phone, however, is it actually ended up fairly typical, since I only do half my day on the help desk job now anyway. Okay, it looks like they're not slowing me down for this curve, so that's nice. So got 100 kilometers before Bari. I'm assuming that's Bari. I mean, just look at the countryside out here. This is just amazing. And then look to the left, look to the right. Make sure you're not going to crash into anything. Yeah, I really like this area. They've done a great job. It was like greenhouses. Got hay bales out there. Yeah, so my view of the game, getting back to this, Italy is pretty impressive. I like this more than France. So far, the only thing I don't like about Italy is a ton of toll booths, and everything's behind those gates. That'd be my B. And then finally C, just the fact that exits and things are like down to 40 kilometers. So everything is, you have to slow way down. But other than that, this is pretty good. I do kind of wish I could go 90 as well as the top speed. So right now, France, I like Viva la France. It has the DLC. I like that one the best. Gotta stay in my own lane here. Anyway, only got about 60 kilometers left, so that's good on this. And then hopefully I can get a relatively short trip. You see, I got 3 hours till I have to sleep. I'll just see how far it is from here into Sicily. It's getting close to where the sun will start setting as well in the game. Must be having to do some backtracking on here. It looks like I'll be stopping right to the right after this little bridge area here. So I have to come back to it. Right there. Yeah, you can see the little stop and everything. Okay. So we're 40 kilometers to cross the street. Slow down a bit here. Slow down a little too much. Just make sure 2% damage. So I really don't need to find any repair shop yet either. I got 30 kilometers to get back to where I was. Looks like it's going to push me to the left to go right as well. This is an interestingly designed intersection, so there is no connection between them. From a geometrical perspective, this is a very inefficient interchange. Let's slow down. We gotta stop there. Excuse me. Going to be a pretty tight corner. So make sure now just a little bit before I come in. Then we're coming in the other lane, so change speed limit there too. Once again, 2.5 hours. I'm probably going to need to rest before I take whatever the next job will be. Down to 40 again. And here we go. Yeah, this one doesn't have a gate. That's nice. Yeah, where's this one at? Okay, over there. We need to turn this one. Over here. I want to just try and flip a U-turn before I do this. Just going right back to that trailer. Hit the rock button on that. Let's see if I got enough space for this. I like better seeing from this angle, so. Put that up. Don't know if I got enough space. I don't think I do. So, let's go back forward. So yeah, it's always good to give yourself more space. I think I'm getting close on this one. I don't know if I have it. Bump it back over just a little bit. And that's close enough for me. If it gives it to me, I will take it. Ooh, we're level 5. So once again, we'll add distance. Now let's just see what is available. I still think I'll need to sleep before I do anything, but what, if anything, goes to Sicily? That one? These two get us closer. These will both be available after I'm done resting too. Doesn't really give me where I want. Like one of these, Palermo or Catania, Messina. Okay, well, let's go rest and see if maybe another job will also appear, because those two will give me at least a step closer. Yep. Took that off too on the wrong button now. Yes, I can drive. Or do they like us going slow? Alright. Now it's dark again. Let's see if we got any better jobs. Scar, again, that's the one that's up there. Friendly. I thought that goes that way, but not the right way. So these roughly equivalent. Apparently this is a lot more, even though that's, I'm guessing that the final stopping point is pretty far apart, given that the amount per kilometer is so radically different, but this actually even gives you more money. So do I want 20 tons of stone, or I'll probably do the coconut milk. Either way, I'm going to end this here for now, and then come back to it on the next video. Go ahead and save. Do that one. Alright, you guys have a wonderful day.